Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica Roden, and I am the program coordinator for the Center for Youth Political Participation at Eagleton Institute of Politics. Today, we're going to do some voter registration training for Rutgers students, and we're going to cover everything you need to know about registering Rutgers students to vote. So here's a quick table of contents for what we'll be going over today. First, we're going to begin by discussing what is the New Brunswick Civic Engagement Coalition. We're going to move on into registering to vote as a Rutgers student. What does it take? Everything you need to know about that and the uniqueness of registering to vote as a student. Voter registration information, and then we're going to go into the meat of this topic, which is how to complete a New Jersey voter registration form. We're going to cover some eligibility questions, identification questions, and then also the 3 different options of registering at your home address, registering at a campus address, and registering at an off-campus address. Then we're going to go through running a voter registration dive and then just finish up with some quick thoughts. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to begin with the New Brunswick Civic Engagement Coalition. So here's a few things that you need to know about the Rutgers New Brunswick Civic Engagement Coalition. We are first established in the spring of 2018 by the Rutgers University Senate Charge S1702. Our mission encourages Rutgers students to pay attention to politics, register to vote, and turn out on Election Day. All of our efforts are nonpartisan, which means we don't take a side, either Republican or Democratic. We're just interested in encouraging everybody to get involved in politics. And we are also just a collection of administrators, faculty, staff, and student leaders. So let's get into what it takes to be registered to vote as a Rutgers student. So voting as a Rutgers student, here's some things that you should know. If you're a Rutgers student, you can choose to register at your home address or you can register at your college address. We're going to get into what the pros and cons of doing either one, so just stay tuned. If you've changed dorms or are living at a different address from where you were previously registered, you will need to update your voter registration. So that might be every single year. If you're moving from Livingston campus to College Avenue campus, you might have to update your voter registration. By doing so, that'll mean that you will vote at the correct polling location, which is really important. If you are previously registered at home and now wish to register at school, you need to complete a new application as an address change. This is really important, especially with the new automatic voter registration laws in New Jersey that went into effect last year. So many people who have registered for driver's licenses in the past year or so, most of them would be first-year students, they might be already registered to vote at home. So if they know that and everything, then they will have to complete an address change since they're already registered. And let's just say they don't know where they are registered at. They don't know if their driver's license put that into effect or not. You can always check your voter registration at newjerseyelections.org. So we're going to run through some of the benefits of registering at home and then the benefits of registering at Rutgers. So if you were to register at home, the good thing is that you'll be able to vote in local elections. So if you live in Camden or Newark or a city or town that has a major election that year and everything, by registering at home, that allows you to vote in that local election. It's also easy access for commuter students. It doesn't make sense, especially if they're still living at home, to change their address to a New Brunswick location. Some of the benefits of registering on campus is mostly the convenience for students who don't live close by. Rutgers is located in New Brunswick. Some students might have commutes 2 hours away. It doesn't make it convenient for them to get to the polling booth. So by registering in New Brunswick, they can just leave their dorm, maybe walk 5 to 10 minutes or so to get to their polling location and vote there. Another option is that you have the ability to vote in a voting booth. You don't have to worry about absentee ballots, which sometimes require stamps and then other times don't. You're actually able to go into the voting booth, vote, and then leave. So it takes away like all that extra paperwork you have to get done. And it's also an excellent option for out-of-state students. This kind of goes back to the ability to vote in a voting booth, but if you're an out-of-state student, your two options. Feasibly, you could still stay registered at home, but then you'll have to apply for an absentee ballot. And that would require getting a state and following whatever absentee ballot obligations that you have for that individual state. But registering on campus allows you not to have to worry about getting home on election day to vote. But one thing is very important to remember, that you must vote where you are registered. So if you are registered to vote in Monmouth County in Manalapan, you have to vote in Monmouth County in Manalapan, or you have to update your address if you'd like to vote in New Brunswick. So now we're going to go through some voter registration information, some basic info about voting in New Jersey, as well as some information for out-of-state students. So some important information about voting in New Jersey. In order to vote in New Jersey and as well as register, you must be a United States citizen. That does not include green card holders. You have to be a citizen in order to vote. You must be at least 17 years old to register. The voting age is nationally 18 years old, but at 17 in New Jersey, you're eligible to vote, eligible to register at that age. And you also must be a resident of the county for 30 days before the election. So if you're an out-of-state student and you are living in So if you're an out-of-state student and you are living in New Jersey at least 30 days before the election day, you're eligible to vote as a New Jersey resident. And you also must not be currently serving a sentence, probation, or parole because of a felony conviction, unless those rules change in the future, but that's what we have right now in place. So here are some election dates for the 2019 general election and primary election. So our primary election already occurred. It was the first Tuesday after the first Monday in June. This year it was June 4th, which is a Tuesday. And then our general election date this year is the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November, which is November 5th, 2019. So if you're interested in registering to vote as an out-of-state student, if you live out of state and wish to register to vote in elections that take place in your hometown, you have to complete your state's voter registration form using your home address, whatever home that would be, if it's in Florida, if it's in New York, Maryland, wherever. You can also download, this is a photo of the National Voter Registration Form that can be downloaded from the eic.gov website. And they also list all states' voter registration forms on there. So you would download the appropriate one, fill it out, complete it, and send it in, and then you'll be registered to vote in your home state. But if you remember, if you will be out of your state on election day, you still have to complete an absentee ballot. If you are a New York voter and you live at Rutgers, you can't go to a polling location and say, oh, I'd like to vote today, even though I'm a New Yorker. You have to vote where you are registered. We have some information on our website, areYouVoting.rutgers.edu, about information about absentee ballots. So look into that if that fits your field. So now we're going to get into the meat of this topic, which is how to complete a New Jersey voter registration form. We broke it down into 4 different steps, from eligibility, identification, address, and completion, and we'll move through that. So for step 1, we have our eligibility questions. If it's a new registration for box number 1, down at the bottom, you will see options such as new registration, name change, political party affiliation, vote by mail, address change. So if this is somebody's first time registering to vote, that means they've never been registered before, they would check an address change in box 1. If they are already registered to vote, and you know that and it's confirmed, you would check address change. So that means they're changing their voter registration to a new area. For boxes 2 and 3, these are other eligibility questions. So are you a U.S. citizen? Check yes or no. And then are you at least 17 years old of age? Check yes or no. Step 2 is our identification questions. And these are boxes 4 through 7. Very basic ones. So first name, last name, middle initial, date of birth. Gender was formerly not an optional question, but now after the recreation of voter registration forms is now an option that you do not have to fill in if you don't like to. And then also for box number 7, everybody is required to put a New Jersey driver's license number or the last 4 digits of their social security number. A lot of times with students, they may not have a driver's license on them or may not know their social security number, which is a very common issue. So no ID, no problem. So if a student doesn't know the last 4 digits of their social security number or they don't have their license on them, here's what you can do. Help them fill out the rest of the form until it is complete. So have them go through their address section, have them complete like their party affiliation if they'd like to, sign it, date it, all that. Double check that it's correct. Then let them take the form with them. Generally, we usually take the forms after they're completed, but since this one still has missing information, have them take it with them and fill out the rest of the information when they have the chance. Just remind them, as long as it's in before the voter registration deadline, which is 21 days before the election, they are eligible to submit this. So once they have completed that information, the last 4 digits of the social or their driver's license number, they're going to fold it into 3 parts, which is all the directions are on the back, tape it shut, and then drop it in a mailbox. No stamp required. So it's pretty super self-explanatory. Okay, so step 3, registering with a home address. So we're going to go through right now the different registering options for addresses that you can do. Home address is pretty self-explanatory, so you would just complete for box number 8, the street name and number on the first box, your municipality. Municipality means city or town, so that could be Freehold, Edison, South Brunswick, wherever it is. Your county, so that would be like Middlesex, Monmouth, Morris, Warren, Hunterdon, wherever that would be, and they have to write out the full names of each. And if they can write it neatly, that's even better for the Board of Elections. The state remains the same, obviously New Jersey, and then whatever their zip code is. So 088901 or 08850, whatever. Students only have to complete box number 9, the mailing address, which is right afterwards, if they do not receive mail to their home address. So perhaps they don't have a mailbox, perhaps they have a PO box. In that case, then they would fill out box 9, which would be the PO box information or wherever they receive their mail. Okay, so for step 3, which is registering with your college address, here's where things get a little bit more complicated. So since RU Voting has done a lot of work with the Board of Elections, students who are registering to vote on campus for their home address in the first box, rather than putting the street name and number of their dorm, perhaps that's 55 Commercial Avenue or 60 Joyce Kilmer Avenue, all you have to do is put your residence hall name. So that would be Katzenbach, Best Hall on Bush, Livingston Apartment North, Livingston Apartment South, something like that. So just their home address. Unless they're living in the Newells, which are on Cook campus, where they have an apartment number, they'll put the apartment number in, only if that's applicable. For their municipality, residence halls that are on College Avenue, Cook, or Douglas are considered New Brunswick, and then Bush and Livingston residence halls are Piscataway. So really, when you're looking through the form with them, make sure and say, oh, if you don't know where Mettler Hall is, just ask them, oh, what campus do you live on? And if they say College Avenue, you could just say to them, oh, that's a New Brunswick municipality. County is going to be Middlesex for both, so there's no difference for that for Piscataway and New Brunswick residents. The state's New Jersey. The zip codes do differ. So the zip code for New Brunswick is 08901, and the zip code for Piscataway is 08854. And you're going to be doing these zip codes so often that you're not even going to think about it anymore. You're just going to automatically know. So just remember, New Brunswick 08901, Piscataway 08854. Okay, now since students are not going to be having mail come directly to the residence hall, they have to complete box number 9, which is the mailing address option. So for mailing address, they're going to write the last 4 digits of their RUID number and their campus mailing location. So each one is very self-explanatory. So for Douglas, it's DPO Way, Cook is CPO Way, Bush, BPO Way, College Avenue is the only one that differs, which is RPO Way, and then Livingston is LPO Way. So it would be for this resident right down here, 1234 DPO Way, because they live on Douglas campus, because Katzenbach's at Douglas Hall. Their municipality would be, like I said before, Piscataway or New Brunswick. So for this student, it's going to be 1234 DPO Way, New Brunswick, Middlesex, New Jersey, 08901. All the information is the same. The only thing that differs from line number 8 and line number 9 is the address. So all the same information for the top for these if they're registering at a on-campus address, except Katzenbach Hall for mailing address would be 1234 DPO Way. All right, so step 3 would be registering with an off-campus address. So in case a student is moving from the Livingston apartments to an off-campus residence on Sickard or Hamilton Avenue, they would have to create an address change. This is also for students that are moving between residence halls as well. That would also be an address change. So all the steps would remain exactly the same before the address boxes. So as you can see for this resident, all the steps remain the same except boxes 8 through 10. So home address would be then the new address that they're going to be moving to. So for this student, it would be 11 Elm Street, New Brunswick is the municipality, the county is Middlesex, the state's New Jersey, and the zip code is 08901. Their mailing address is where they would like to receive their mail to. So maybe they want to receive their mail at their home address, which is their parents' house. So it would be 123 Main Street, Manalapan, Monmouth County, New Jersey, 07726. A lot of times off-campus houses already include a mailbox. So if that's the case and everything, they do not have to complete mailing address. Mailing address will not need to be filled out. And then for box number 10, that would be the last address that you registered at. So if you registered to vote last year at the Livingston Apartments, you will write the Livingston Apartments, the municipality would be Piscataway, the county would be Middlesex, the state would be New Jersey, and the zip code would be 08854, excuse me. So that's the most important one. The last address registered to vote, box number 10. Okay, so now we're just gonna run through the last step. So we're just completing the form. So box number 11 is a name change form. Most students don't fill in a name change form unless they've been married before or something like that. So they don't have to fill that out. Box 12 is a daytime phone number or email address. This is very, very helpful for students to fill out. Just in case that there's issues with the form, we can go back and contact them. And after we submit the forms to the Board of Elections as well, then they can also contact you if there's another issue with the form or something like that. So the box number 13 is political affiliation. Students are not required to fill in a political affiliation. If they do not fill in one, they'll just be listed as unaffiliated. But you can register with any party. You just have to make sure you check yes and then write the party name. So it could be the Republican Party, Democratic Party. If you want to be registered as an independent, you could do that as well. You just need to make sure you write it in the on the line next to the box. Box number 14 is also optional, which is the mail-in ballot option. This is a new addition to the voter registration forms that was added last August of 2018. If completed, students will receive mail-in ballots for all future elections. So Only fill out that form unless you know you want to receive a mail-in ballot. And then the last is sign and date to complete it. So basically, once the student signs it up, they complete it, that's done. You think all of your work is done? No. So let's run through running a voter registration drive. So how to run a voter registration drive. First, you're going to download your county-specific voter registration forms from the New Jersey Divisions of Elections website. On their website, they will have county forms for Middlesex County, Monmouth County, Freehold, Monmouth County, Hunterdon County, Warren, wherever. And the difference between all these different forms is just the address on the back. So if somebody is a Monmouth County resident and they fill out a Middlesex form, it's not like the form is going to get lost or completely like switched. They can do switches between each of the divisions of elections, but it makes it a lot easier if you fill out the correct form for your county, so it goes to the correct place right away. You have to make sure you have blue or black pens on hand. They will not accept forms not done in ink, so be mindful of that. If a student takes out a pencil, you just have to remind them, I'm sorry, it won't be accepted if it's done in pencil. You have to bring a secure lockbox for any completed forms. This is all about security, honestly. When somebody's filling out a voter registration form, they're giving you personal information, and you have to be mindful of that. So just always remember never to leave forms unattended. People put their trust in the person that's going to be completing their voter registration and handing it in, and we have to be very, very mindful of that. Okay, so you finally filled out all the forms. Now what do you do? The first step is to check. Double check all forms are filled out completely and correctly. And don't let a student leave the table without checking the form first. So just going through relatively quickly, it doesn't take a lot of time, just to check that new address was filled in right, or especially with the address lines, very important to fill out those sections correctly. Most of the time, that's where the issues lie. So looking through those is very, very important. Last is to secure the forms. So completed forms should be kept in a lockbox or bag. Do not leave forms unattended ever. And then once you're finished with that, you can submit the forms. So completed forms can be dropped off at the Eagleton Institute of Politics on Douglas campus. You can email Jessica Ronan. Her email address is there for drop-off hours and information. All forms, however, must be dropped off by October 14th. That way they can be gone through, processed, and then submitted to the Board of Elections by the voter registration deadline. Okay, so now we're going to run through some quick final thoughts and some other little tips to help you with voter registration. So some things to remember when registering students. Write only on the forms if the student needs assistance. So if the person is handicapped and cannot fill in the form themselves, you could help them fill it out. But you have to complete the assisters box on the bottom right-hand side, which is right next to the signature. So you would just put your name and address on there and sign. The deadline to register to vote is New Jersey is 21 days before the general election. So this year it's going to be October 15th, 2019. If you do not register by October 15th, you will not be in the books on election day, or you won't be in the books correctly if you don't change your address. So it's very, very important to remind students about they have the opportunity to register, but there is a deadline to get that done. So to be mindful of it. Another reminder, just you have to vote where you currently live as well. All polling locations, especially for on campus, can be found at ruvoting.rutgers.edu. And lastly, if you have any other questions about voting or information about that, you can direct them to our website, which is ruvoting.rutgers.edu, and also my email address. So it's jronan@eagleton.rutgers.edu. So I just want to thank everybody for watching today. If you have any other questions, please feel free to get in contact with us, and happy registering. Thanks.